I am here with my friend Marcia of CEO Caregiver. Now, Marcia, this journey started a long time ago. Let's walk people through how you got started.
Yeah, this is indeed a long journey, and you've been with me the entire step of the way.
Way.
Isn't that amazing?
It
And
is
we're
so
still here,
amazing.
and we're still smiling.
True.
Okay, so for most, some people knows the story and others don't, but this entire journey began with serving my Aunt Dorothy. And the reality was, as seniors age, um, they start getting to need more care, more assistance. And that is where family comes in. And oftentimes, family, they're still working a 9 to 5 job, so they simply cannot. And so you're forced to place your loved one in a community. And, I went through that stage as well because I couldn't care for her. But when I placed her in the community, that's when my education began in what it means to have an assisted living facility or an adult family care home, rehab, nursing home. It was just a myriad of options, right? And so I placed her in a relatively small community. It was about 77 beds. And
And that would be
I,
called an
I
assisted living facility.
that one was an
Yeah.
assisted living facility. I was a more institutional approach. I
Okay.
didn't know about the residential community at the time, but I was still working. I was in grad school. It was impossible. So, notwithstanding, I placed her, and I'm telling you, they mean well. And there is a place for every member of the population. Some do well in large, some do well in small. So, no shade on that. But for our family, we wanted more. And I just couldn't have it there. They just didn't have enough staff to support our needs. And so I started
And
doing the
not to scare anyone, but I was there along with you on that journey. And I want you to go a little in depth because people need to understand what it means. Like I remember being appalled when you said it was not that they got a bath every day,
yeah,
right?
yeah, something
If
as
you
simple
could
as
just
that.
share some of the things that it comes
That
with
made it
that.
impossible. Okay,
Mhm.
so that was one of my pet peeves is we gave them all the products, we gave them everything, right? So it's not like they didn't have soap and all the lotions and everything. But number one, every Friday was my day with her. That was our fun day. And every time I would go and I just pull her sock down, it was poof, dust
Yeah.
bunnies.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
clearly, and as you age, you need more moisture in your skin. Now, mind you, I'm
Mhm.
not even in healthcare, but that's just basic care.
Yeah.
And so that was just one. The second thing was they had bath days. And so while I understand there are some segments of the population that their skin may be sensitive or it's a traumatic experience, that's not everybody. So she was
Mhm.
a registered nurse for 30 years. She's coming from a situation where she bathed every day. Now you're
Mhm.
telling her she can only get a bath twice a
Or
week.
like some Caribbean people twice a day.
Okay, right? So notwithstanding, yeah, I was appalled. And then the third thing, that the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak, she had a roommate, but people would walk in and out of her room. And this one time, they actually went into her bathroom and did number two and smeared it all over the wall. Well, can I tell you?
Okay.
That was it for me. And so I started looking at my options.
Wow. And she was able to tell you about it. You saw it. How
Right.
did
Because there's
wow.
nothing cognitively wrong with
That's
her.
true. Yeah.
Right? Right up until the end, she could
Yes.
tell you off in a hot minute.
Mm-hmm.
However, she had her own cell phone and she called me and she was lit. And so I called the administrator and they were apologetic. It was, again, you're in a facility, they don't know what they're doing,
Yeah.
but she does. And so that was a problem. And they really did their best. Actually, she was in a shared room. They gave her her own room way down the hall with a key
Oh wow.
so she could come and go without having to worry about. So they really acquiesce and try to help the situation. But again, we were just not accustomed to that. And so that
Mm-hmm.
was kind of one, two, three. So even
Yeah.
though I was still in school and I didn't know what to do, I knew enough to do some research. And then I came across the private home communities. And I
Mhm.
thought, this is nice. I like this. It's home, right?
Yes.
Um, but I didn't see one that I liked.
Yeah. I actually went on a couple as well. I understand what you mean.
Yeah, I just,
Is it?
no, not so much. So I'm sorry. And I thought,
Yeah.
well, my goodness, if they can get a license, then certainly so can I with my layman
Mhm.
self.
Yes.
I quit my job, took all my 401k money. And as they say, 10 years later, this is where we are.
10 years later, became an advocate in the field, got
Yeah,
into an industry and said, wait, no one's speaking for these folks. So
no.
before we go over into what an adult family care home is and all of the work you've done in that field, tell us just what is the average price that an assisted living, the facility would cost a resident.
Sure. So may I say this? And if nobody hears anything else that I say, y'all, Social Security is not a retirement strategy, particularly when you get to the place where you need health care. You have dementia, you have all kinds of issues that require that you live in a community. So anywhere from 3,000 and up will be your cost of care per bed.
Mhm.
Medicare does not pay for this. Medicare supports your
Mhm.
hospitalization and other things. It does not pay for long-term care. That said, it's going to be private pay. And if you qualify for Medicaid, then as a facility owner, we can get reimbursed a portion, not
Okay.
all of it. So let's use a simple example. Let's say that the facility charges 5,000 for a shared room, and that's pretty typical.
Mhm.
But you only have $1,500 coming in from Social Security.
Mhm.
And then let's say I can bill the state in your Medicaid. I can bill the state for another $1,500. That's only 3,000. You're
Yeah.
short 2 grand. So you have to figure
Mhm.
that out, whether it's family contribution, you may have a retirement plan, savings, you may have to
Mhm.
sell your home.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it's not getting better. That's the
And
price.
that's true. And then though, just to give people a feel though, all of your meals are covered,
In
just
my
to give them the full
facility,
picture because people might
yeah.
not
So in
understand.
my facility, there's no a la carte anything. I
Mm.
include everything from your incontinence supplies to your meals. If I take them out for dinner or lunch or
Mhm.
trips, I don't charge extra for that. I don't charge extra to do med management. These
Mhm.
are the kinds of questions you want to ask, right? As you're out and about. So, for example, there are some communities if you have 1 to 6 meds, then all is included. But if your med increases 6 to 14 meds, then they have extra charges. So you
Mm.
need to know that, right? They may charge you for incontinence supplies. They may charge you for just toiletries. For
Mhm.
me, it's a private home. I make sure that I price competitively and I include everything.
So tell us about a private home now, the adult family care home.
So the difference between the adult family care home, which is how I started in the industry, and the assisted living memory care, which is where I am in that space right now, you live with your residents in the adult family care home. So for the first, this will be my 11th year. So for the first 9 years, no, 10 years, for the first 10 years, I lived with my
Mhm.
clients. And in an adult family care setting, that's basically it. You live there. You have to, as the owner of the facility,
You have to
live
live.
there. You
Mhm.
have to. Nowhere. Can you hear me, people? You got to live there.
Mhm.
So,
Yes,
so
nowhere wrong that folks who are
there
on a
is
condo
no way
system.
around that. I've
All
had the,
right.
oh, but can you, my uncle? No, no.
But you could have staff that works fully with you.
Yes, yes. And you can go on vacations and you can do all kinds of things, but that has to be your primary residence, right? So you can take on any kind of client that you have the capacity to take on. And there's so many needs in the marketplace. So you just decide, why you're doing this and who you want to serve. In the memory care community or the assisted living space, you don't have to live there, but the licensing requirements are a lot more rigid.
Yes.
And
A
so
lot.
now we've had our license as a ALF for the last 2 years. And we're at capacity with 6 residents, female only community. But I love the dementia Alzheimer population. That is my skill set. And so my
That's where
team
you
and I,
started with Auntie.
that's where I started with Auntie. And she really didn't even have that much.
Not deep, no.
No,
But it was a really a
no.
soft introduction, a
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah,
They put
it
you in
really
that
was.
community.
But over the
Yeah.
years, I started taking on. And then I realized it was hard for families without the training to be able to care for your own, because your heart is so torn. You want them to be the same as they were in their
You
heyday.
you interrupt them and say, no, it's not that. And that
I
probably
see
stresses
that
them out even more.
even more and
Right.
stresses you out. I mean, with my Aunt Dorothy in the big look, at one point I said to my sister, guess what? I'm moving out, because it was really, I hadn't had the training. It was just
Mhm.
frustrating. And but it's like talking to a blind man and saying, why can't you see me?
Yeah. Yeah.
They can't. And
Hmm.
it's just the same with some. They're not present and they're declining. And it's hard emotionally on the families.
Hmm.
So that's where we come in. We're here to fill in the gap for you.
And so tell us now, because I want folks to really understand you can start with an adult family care home, right?
Sure.
The licensing requirements are a lot simpler for you to start.
It is.
It
And it's
is,
also a
right?
little bit more budget friendly to start the adult family care home. Like I said, the only requirement is you live there.
Yeah.
But when you start with, if you choose to start an assisted living, it's just that the dollars become bigger.
Mhm.
The requirements are more. You have to have X surplus in there for reserves. And whereas it's not quite like that in an adult
Yeah,
family care home,
you don't have to
because
have
you're
the
fully
full sprinkler.
vested.
At least you don't have to have the full sprinklers in the roof all the way, and
Yeah.
just a lot of things.
It's a lot
But
more compliance issues, a lot more compliance issues.
but not to say to you folks, it's all simple, and that's where now, Marcia,
Yeah.
you created this great product because it is an avenue for people with the right heart to
Yes.
do something that not only helps the community, because the need is there. The need is
It
there
is.
in a big way. We have a lot of
Yes,
seniors who cannot, number one, afford to live on their own. Number two, they really should not be living on their own. And
exactly.
we've seen you craft an environment where everybody wants to live with Marcia at Serenity Family, adult family care. Everybody's like, I'm coming to live with you. But what you're
And even
saying is
after
you
Serenity
want
is now
that
closed,
environment that you created.
yeah. And even though Serenity is now closed and we're just focused on your sanctuary assisted living, everybody still wants to come over there and live.
Of course, because it's the model that you created. And let's talk about that, right? And what you're sharing with others as this is what you could be doing, and this is how you could be doing it.
So I say anybody that really wants to get into this space and they understand, there may be a nurse, they could be a caregiver like I was and just wanted more flexibility to stay home with her, because that's how I got
Mhm.
started. I was working, I was in school, and I couldn't keep running home when she had an issue. But in
Yeah.
starting my facility and getting her some friends, then I was able to do it.
And
So
I want to pause there because I want folks to understand this because some folks, you're describing a situation where you were at school, you were at work, and you were trying to help with Auntie. There's some people caught between their kids,
yeah,
their parents, or their loved
yes,
ones, and can't do this. What you're saying is this is a way that you can earn money and
yes,
have like
help.
you had fun. I mean, I know it must have been hard at times, but I'm telling you, you had fun. We could see it.
We have fun, and we still
You have
do.
fun.
We still do. And that's why I said it has to be someone with the right heart, because they are people. They're just older. And even though may not be present, love is love.
Mm-hmm.
You give a hug, they respond. You give a smile, they respond. You
Yeah.
just sit next to them, they respond. So you have to be there for the right reason. If you're just somebody who just thinks, I'm just going to shove some people in some rooms and get some money, you're going to get your
Mm-hmm.
feelings hurt.
Yeah.
Because at some point it's going to show. And this just, I don't believe in moving seniors around from place to place to place. This should be their home, not
Mm-hmm.
to be moved around. So, but
Yeah.
I digress. That's just my personal pet peeve.
Mm-hmm.
But we try to make it a very homey, but also a very engaged environment where they get up and they want it. And we don't, trust me, we're not doing activities every single day that's like all over the place. But we try to be intentional about what we do and do things that we know they like,
Yes. Yes.
you
Yes.
know.
They live. They have
They
fun.
live.
And they
Yeah.
most of the time they may want to watch TV just generally during the day, but they
And
live. They do
that's
dominoes.
fine. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like I have one, she loves her Hallmark. Don't bother her when she. I have another one, she loves Charles Stanley. she when she's watching, look, it's Dr. Stanley. Yes, ma'am. Don't talk to her while she's watching Dr. Stanley.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, so guys, I hope you're hearing us. Marcia has been through every stage of it. And now you're teaching
Now
because,
I'm teaching.
well, I would say your heart was always in teaching. Your heart, because when we met, you were a mortgage broker.
Yes.
Then you went into really giving folks counseling about honestly keeping their homes and all that. You've
Right, as
seen
a foreclosure prevention counselor. Remember?
yes,
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
no,
Yes.
so long, it all.
So long.
But you've been there, and so you see that people can actually create a thriving business for
Yeah,
themselves
you
that
can.
feeds into their strengths, right? A lot of
Yes,
people are homemakers, and they make people comfortable, and that's their strength, and that is a
yes,
strength in this industry.
it is.
And if they start out with the adult family care, they can actually do it. They can make
They can.
enough to pay for a house that they're renting. They could make enough to pay for a mortgage and
Yeah.
live
And live.
and
Live.
live.
Yeah, you certainly
So
can.
tell us about some of the products you did, because I know that you saw a need in the market for an advocacy organization. You helped to start that for the adult family care homes.
So what I discovered is when I started out, I couldn't find anybody that really would talk to me
You're
and
like,
were friends with me. And I
yeah.
remember our hospice company at the time was Vitas Healthcare, and they came to my home, and at the kitchen table we're talking. I'll never forget that meeting. And I said, geez, I don't know anybody. And they were, wooing me for my business. Of course, I gave them my business. And then she says, well, let's have a little meeting, and I'll invite the ones in your area. And I said, you will? Okay. And so we had our first meeting, and it was great. I got to meet some friends now. I was happy until the next month. She goes, so where are we meeting this month? I'm sorry, what? We're meeting? And she goes, yeah, let's go meet some more people. So long story short, we kept meeting. And then I started thinking, guys, there's no place that we as residential providers are meeting. What do y'all think about us together creating an organization? And then
Mhm.
fast forward in 2015, the Residential Home Care Network was born. And it was a collaborative effort of many providers who ponied up their money so we could become a nonprofit. And we
Mhm.
became the advocacy group. And our main focus was to try to help the residential community providers connect, but also
Yes.
for them to go out and meet in the marketplace to really help fill their beds. And
Mhm.
we had, when I say Vitas Healthcare supported us from day one until the day we closed in 2019. They were
Wow.
our lunch sponsor, our dinner sponsor, our party sponsor, our anything sponsor. They were an amazing organization for us to partner with. They supported us, they believed in us, and the providers kept coming out.
Because
Kept
people
coming
needed
out.
to just get information, right? A lot
Yeah,
of times they started this, they didn't have a background in it and no one to ask questions of.
right. And then they didn't feel like they were alone anymore.
Correct.
And to this day, even though the organization does not exist, we still collaborate on our WhatsApp group. So we're still
I love
meeting.
it.
And the
I
other day
love
we went out to Rocco's Tacos and had drinks. So
it.
we still connect, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So that was the purpose of that network. But COVID changed everything. And starting another facility changed everything. So time, I
Mhm.
just physically could not do it.
But then you determine you still the information need to go out. So you
Yeah.
created a program for
Once upon a
amassing all of this knowledge.
right? You once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur. You know this. And
Yes.
so in the middle of COVID, 2020, what was I going to do with my gift of time? Because
Mhm.
that's what we had, the gift of time. We don't
Yes.
see it as that. We didn't see it then. In retrospect,
I
that
spent
was
a glorious amount of time with my children. I
wow.
It was like they had come back home after heading out to college. I loved my COVID time.
Wow. See, and I spent the time trying to keep them safe here because I couldn't go out as much as I used to market. And then I took a training program for 6 weeks. And in that training program, it helped me to develop CEO Caregiver. And so in doing that, one of the things that I decided to do was, you know what? How can we get people the information they need when they want to get started? And so I came up with a video curriculum. And the video curriculum is available on demand for those individuals that are, say, very independent learners and don't need somebody telling them what to do. It is me talking ad nauseum about everything from soup to nuts. I literally took everything out of my head and put it in video format. Then I decided, y'all need a business plan too. So I gave them a copy of my business plan as a part of the training.
I was there when she first developed that first business plan. And let me tell you guys, I'm going to pause you right there because I can give firsthand testimony to the fact that you went down roads that you're saving people going down. For example, I remember at the beginning when you wanted to do nutritious food, right? And healthy food and and
I got shut down by my SCORE counselor.
So a person who buys this program is getting all of that knowledge, all of those missteps that they could be taking.
Yep.
You poured all that knowledge in. So I want them to understand the value of this. Go ahead.
I can't believe you remember that. But Guenet has been the one, Guenet, my sister, Sandra Fatme Hall, and just really were there for me. And I said, y'all need to read my business plan. And so the first business plan, it was all about holistic, holistic, something modern and elegant, organic. Holistic, organic, modern, and element, right? And it was called Serenity Cottage or something like that. So I met with my SCORE counselor over at the National Entrepreneur Center. Right. And they paired me with my market. So it was an elderly gentleman who lived in the nursing home that used to be the manager or the owner or whatever of service merchandise. So he started reading my business plan. He's going, holistic, or he goes, look, here's what we want. We want our food hot and we want it to taste good. The end.
I never forgot that because again, it's when you think you know what the market wants and then the market says,
no,
I've lived this long. What am I?
Yeah, we don't care about your organic
and hot.
Now, it doesn't mean that you cannot do that once you're a provider, but that cannot be a lead marketing strategy. They're not impressed by it.
Yes.
So I went back to the drawing board. It took me another maybe 3 months and then my final draft. And then that's still my working draft.
I love it. There just other little things that people get inside that market too and are intimidated by. Like referrals are not just cut and dried. You definitely need guidance on that kind of stuff. So tell us the price point of this program.
So online, without anybody jumping in to kind of coach you, it's $497. And then for the retreat that we're doing this year, it's going to be $997. And that retreat is kind of in your face. So basically what it is you're actually coming to the facility and you're going to stay here from Friday night until Sunday night. And guess what? After we're going to have welcome Bellinis. We're going to have yes, you should come.
So now we don't want to come first we wanted to come to live there. This is how now we can come and learn and live with you.
Exactly.
The experience.
So that Friday night, we're just going to get together. I'm catering dinner. It's just our welcome. And then we're going to jump right in to sort of lay the framework for what we're discussing. We'll probably be up till about 11 o'clock that night. Because remember, I live here. You're going to be here with me. Yes. And it's in the home. It's what used to be a facility. You get to see how we did things here, right? The next morning, you'll get up and we're going over to my memory care. And we're going to work for half a day, hands-on, in the trenches. Doesn't get better than that. And then the rest of the time, we are working on every single component of your business plan development. From financing, staffing, networking, marketing, you name it, just kind of sharing and you creating your own. When you leave on Sunday, you're going to have a working draft of your business plan and you're going to have a financial worksheet, very simple, of what it is you want to do.
I love the fact that it actually gives visual learners a chance also to walk around, to spend, be immersed, because there are things they
Correct.
need to know, where, how many fire exit signs you need to have, how
Correct.
many, where to place bins, what, there's so many things about that industry that you need to know,
Yeah.
that you
And it's
they'll be
already
able
here.
to
So we'll just kind of
already
walk
there.
through hands on. You're going to see it. You're going to see how the beds are
Hmm.
laid out. I mean, we literally, you're going to walk away with more than you're paying for. The value is incredible.
Oh, absolutely. A consultant to tell somebody all of this over a couple of months is thousands of dollars, thousands of
Correct.
dollars.
Yeah.
And so the value of it is excellent, excellent.
So
I
this
must.
is where it's more about quality than quantity because I'm not taking more than 4 people. That's it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want it to be it's an intensive, it's in your face learning, no more than 4 each month, the last weekend of every month.
Mm, I love it.
Hmm.
I love it. And again, guys, I have to tell you, there's so much that the industry and the communities also push. When I say the communities, I mean Florida might push at you. Oh, you can't set this place up here. Marcia has the answers. We're done giving them freebie answers, Marcia, because at this
Yeah,
point now, people have to
yeah.
buy into
And
the
that's
program.
what I don't mind
Please
talking to
drop it
people, but
below.
I don't mind talking to people, but I found that I was talking and talking and realizing they weren't taking the information and going
Mhm.
further. Even when you do the online training, I feel like they're it's there, but sometimes you just need a little extra support. And
Well,
that's
what
what the
it
retreat
is
is
with
for.
anything, and I've told my son this in real estate as well, unless you really get in and do it, the fear of the unknown actually holds you back. And so that's
Correct.
why I like them coming to live with you for that
Yes.
weekend, because it is a real true immersion. They're staying in the beds, they get an understanding of it all.
Yes. Yep.
They live
Yep.
the
And then you
experience.
have to deal with your own imposter syndrome. And so there are
Yeah.
just a lot of things that we're going to be
Yeah.
talking about. We all felt it. I'm no
Mhm.
different from anybody else. Remember, I do not come from a healthcare background at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
At
Yeah.
all. Fast forward. Wow. Wow.
Top of the game.
Yeah. And enjoying
Uh,
every minute of it.
So listen, we're going to close this on you sharing with them some of your social media handles and your website. We're going to drop it in the link below this video, but I just want you to give them how they could find you and how they could find your
So
package.
CEO Caregiver.com, across IG, CEO Caregiver. I'm CEO Caregiver at IG. CEOcaregiver.com is a landing page. Yep,
All
that's where you
right.
find me.
And you said your facility is full, so we can't even
Yeah.
place residents with you.
No, not right now. Yay! Thank you, Jesus. It took a minute. It took a minute.
In a minute
And we're
when you
going to,
started off.
yeah, we'll talk about all of that too. How long does it take? These are critical questions. So,
Absolutely. Well, Marcia, thank you so much for joining us. And again, we will put all the links below. I look forward to being invited on this journey to experience it. Maybe I could actually share on our page with our
oh, I
viewers.
think that would be awesome. Thank you,
Yeah.
Guenet.